Alright, today we'll be discussing an incident that occurred in September 2025 at an art fair in Atlanta's DragonCon, where a case emerged that eventually required police intervention. It all began at booth A10 in the artists area, where we found artwork that many attendees started viewing with suspicion. Several people noted that these images appeared to be AI generated, and the booth displayed the name Oriana Jera's art. The situation escalated when some visitors reported their concerns to organizers, who then approached the booth and asked the attendants to show evidence of their creative process. The response was shocking. They presented a video that was also AI generated, yet still insisted everything had been created by hand. Additionally, it was discovered that the person manning the booth wasn't even the listed artist, but had registered using their partner's name. When organizers pointed out that regulations prohibited selling AI-generated artwork and asked them to leave, the man refused to go. Social media erupted after an artist posted about the incident, and the response from the booth's account was deliberately provocative. They claimed they didn't need to disclose their sales and called their critics losers. In other posts, they launched more attacks, saying their accusers weren't selling anything and were destined for failure. This sparked widespread outrage, and the situation escalated further as videos of police arriving at the booth began circulating online. Finally, authorities forced the responsible party to gather his belongings and exit the venue, as he continued refusing to leave voluntarily. Once the space was empty, some attendees began placing messages on the table, turning the vacant spot into a small improvised memorial, indicating that the booth had been removed for selling AI-generated images. The artist with the neighboring stand described how everything unfolded from the beginning. During setup, he noticed the A10 group consisted of 4 people, 2 adults and 2 younger individuals. Initially, they displayed pieces that appeared handmade, with visible brushstrokes featuring popular characters and graffiti-style phrases. They weren't to his taste, but they seemed to be created by an actual person. And yet, the next day he saw new works, anime characters, comic figures, even icons like the Monopoly millionaire or Snoopy, all with blurry or inconsistent features, such as varying numbers of fingers or distorted details. To him, it was obvious these were generated by artificial intelligence. He noticed that very different styles seemed to coexist, so he asked how many artists were represented there. The older woman replied just her 2 sons, which didn't add up to him at all. Seeing the fair had rules against selling AI-generated images, he alerted the organizers, and he wasn't the only one who did. Multiple complaints arrived simultaneously, and on Saturday he noticed the fair staff examining the booth's materials, making him think they were taking it seriously. On Monday, when he arrived at the fair, he saw area officials, staff members, and even an agent near the booth. The stand occupants arrived late and found the group waiting to inform them they had to leave the premises. They were blocked from entering and told they had been removed, so they began dismantling their booth with obvious anger. After they left, someone posted a sign announcing the space had been expelled for selling AI-generated material. The message became a popular spot for visitors to take photos and leave small notes. As news spread, several fairs and similar events updated their policies, with comic, animation and pop culture conventions announcing stricter bans on using AI to produce items for sale. They argued that the way these tools are trained raises ethical issues, and their intent is to protect the work and effort of human creators. Various organizations explained they don't allow AI-generated works in their spaces, not even in other areas of their events. Some officials stated they'd support artists who work without these tools, while others clarified that any AI-traced or produced material is prohibited. In creative sectors like illustration, video games, and comic animation, this situation has been causing tension for many artists for some time now. So I wanted to know what your opinion is. Ultimately, what happened at that fair has reignited a growing debate. How to distinguish between human and machine-made work, how to prevent public deception, how to protect copyright, and how these practices should coexist in creative spaces. All signs point to this being a long, complex issue filled with new discussion. Today we want to analyze an incident that became a global trend and, beyond the jokes, reveals the true state of humanoid robotics advancement. We're referring to the Russian robot's fall during its official unveiling, a moment that flooded social media, news outlets, and tech forums. What appeared to be just a stumble became an opportunity to understand how far we've come and how much further we have to go. In Moscow, a small team of engineers decided to showcase what they considered the country's first functional humanoid robot. The company, consisting of just 14 people without backing from major corporations, presented a machine standing about 2 meters tall and weighing over 200 pounds. This robot was designed to walk, maintain balance, operate for hours without assistance, and even display facial expression. It was also meant to communicate contextually without requiring an internet connection. The atmosphere at the event was full of anticipation, with lights, audience, cameras, and a stage set up designed to convey confidence. The robot moved forward with steady steps, raised an arm to wave, and then suddenly began to lose its balance. A moment later, it collapsed face first, and the metallic crash against the floor was captured by everyone in attendance. Immediately, several people rushed onto the stage to lift the robot's rigid body while trying to conceal the scene with a curtain. Within minutes, the clip spread across all social media, spawning jokes, memes, sarcastic comments, and headlines pointing to the incident as evidence of technological backwardness. Many compared the scene to progress already shown by American and Chinese companies, whose robots demonstrate jumps, spins, and coordinated tasks in promotional videos. The hashtag related to the accident quickly became a global trend. However, behind the virality, there was an interesting reaction from the team itself. Instead of hiding what happened or making excuses, they explained that these kinds of stumbles are part of developing any bipedal system. They admitted they didn't anticipate such widespread attention, but insisted that a fall doesn't represent the final state of the project. They even later published a video showing the robot recovering with a bandage symbolically placed on its face. For robotics engineers, dynamic balance is one of the toughest challenges. Walking requires constant body adjustments, environment interpretation, adapting to changes in lighting, friction or weight, and coordinating sensors and motors with extreme precision. Any calibration error, unexpected movement, or imprecise calculation can cause exactly what we witnessed on stage. The leading companies in this field have experienced countless failures before achieving smooth demonstrations, though most happen away from public view. What makes this case unique is that the error occurred during the first major presentation of a project meant to show that the country could compete in the global race for humanoid robots, and that race has accelerated due to massive investments in developing robotic workers that can operate in human environments like factories, warehouses, medical centers, and customer service areas. The idea is that humanoid robots can use existing tools, navigate hallways, handle objects, and communicate naturally. That's why major companies and governments are investing millions to advance in this field. The Russian team's effort was part of this landscape, aiming to show that even small groups could make significant progress without big tech resources. The reaction on social media and in the press revealed a broader phenomenon. The public has grown accustomed to seeing highly edited videos where robots move flawlessly, creating unrealistic expectations where any small error is interpreted as a sign of incompetence. This is compounded by geopolitical narratives that turn a simple stumble into a judgment about a country's technological standing, even though all labs worldwide experience similar mishaps away from cameras. There are deeper questions surrounding this new wave of humanoid robots. If these systems integrate into workplaces, tensions will emerge regarding safety, working conditions, and the replacement of human jobs. Debates will also arise about their potential applications in surveillance and military contexts. These questions aren't derived from this specific demonstration, but are part of the broader conversation about the future of these devices. In the long run, this episode will likely be just another anecdote in the lengthy process of teaching machines to balance, climb stairs, lift objects, and interact with us. The question this incident raises isn't whether robots will fall again, but whether this will continue happening, or if what matters is which teams can turn each fall into progress towards more stable, reliable systems. And clearly this moment sparked discussion, even becoming an almost comical anecdote. But as technology advances toward machines that can assist us in daily tasks, the Russian robot's fall reminds us how challenging it is to build an artificial body that moves like ours. Perhaps when we see future humanoids walking without stumbling, we'll remember that those first awkward attempts were the beginning of something much greater. So anyway, tell me what you think about this little anecdote. Alright, today we want to review everything surrounding the launch of Call of Duty Black Ops 7, a release that generated huge controversy due to the use of generative AI within the game. From day one, the title came under scrutiny for performing much worse than expected and receiving particularly harsh user reviews. Adding to this was a notice on the game's page acknowledging that AI tools were used to create certain elements, and this detail alone was enough for criticism to explode. From the start, we noticed community complaints weren't just about ethics, as in previous cases, but also about a clear decline in visual quality. These were images and logos used for customization and prestige emblems, and many players immediately spotted they appeared to be AI generated. This was especially shocking given it's a premium-priced title that even requires a specific subscription on consoles, and the ratings reflected this discontent. On Metacritic, the user score plummeted to 1.9 out of 10, while on Steam it barely received a small percentage of favourable reviews among over 1,000 critiques. Among the harshest comments were players describing it as a mediocre AI-produced title, noting that the franchise had delivered higher quality experiences in previous releases. Amid all this, there was even an unexpected intervention from US Congressman Ro Khanna, who joined the discussion stating that the country needed regulations to prevent companies from replacing employees with AI to increase profit. He also advocated that artists should have decision-making power over these tools, share in the profits, and supported some form of taxation when AI replacement becomes widespread. The situation worsened with official explanations as Activision admitted using AI for some visual assets, like certain business cards featuring clever associates with studio images inspired by Japanese animation. However, they insisted the entire creative process was human-directed without clarifying exactly what content was AI-generated or the full extent of its implementation. To further complicate matters, statements from the company and Treyarch have changed over time. Months ago, they assured that nothing made with AI reached the final product, but later admitted some elements might have unintentionally slipped through. Plus, this wasn't an entirely new issue. There had been controversies in previous releases, and an insider revealed concept artists were pressured to use these tools amid layoffs of art staff following broader cuts within the parent company. This episode again exposes an industry-wide problem as more studios incorporate AI into various development phases even when team members oppose its use. Other major companies already openly incorporate it, especially for verification processes or early design stage. We've also seen recent cases where game dialogues were entirely AI generated, which sparked criticism from voice actors and players. In contrast, some rival franchises have avoided using AI directly in visual elements of their latest games, though they admit they would use it to speed up production. This shows the industry is in a transition period where each studio adopts different approaches while trying to maintain community trust. Following confirmation of AI use in Black Ops 7, what players demand most is transparency. Many are asking for precise clarification on which parts of the game are manually created versus which are AI generated, and the lack of transparency has made part of the community doubt the artistic value of content and feel that the visual experience, key for customization fans, no longer matches what the series historically offered. This discussion highlights the gap between what companies say about valuing human work and the reality marked by rapid, unclear advancement of automation. Until verifiable information and more direct player dialogue exists, the debate over AI use will likely remain central to discussions about gaming's future, especially for such an influential franchise. So, anyway, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in future videos.